Welcome to Big Rascals, where we may be grown-ups, but we will never stop being rascals. We are a boys' book club, not just for the boys, but all those who enjoy reading, writing, comedy, and entertainment. Our purpose is to have fun discovering new worlds, making friends, and finding a cure for dyslexia.
Hey everybody, great to be back.
We are back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
At least two of us.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, there's more important things in his life apparently, and he's working. But
I'm barely fitting you guys into my schedule right now. So
How much working are you
here.
actually doing over there?
Yeah.
Well, we've been walking like almost 10 miles a day or more times.
Oh boo! We have to walk 10 miles a day.
Yeah, me and Derek walk 10 miles a day up and down a ladder.
And upstairs.
Oh.
Yeah. Beat
You
that.
guys are in like air-conditioned rooms and you have to play around with wire.
We're the one that powers up the air conditioning.
I have to avoid rattlesnakes and badgers and bees and bugs and, sometimes people with guns.
Yeah.
So,
We got some of that. Bees, bugs.
Yeah, I guarantee we have to deal with wasps more than you.
yeah, you probably. Well, I don't know. Actually, sometimes we run into some crazy bug nests. I once walked straight into an ant nest when I went to go pee. I had no idea I was standing in it, and then all of a sudden I start feeling these pinches all over my legs. I looked like I had chicken pox.
What kind of ants?
The next couple weeks. They're the big, like, black ones that
Big
will
black
sting you.
ants.
Yeah.
Lucky they're not fire ants. Ooh. I hear they're the worst.
Yeah, we got a bunch of them in Eagle Mountain, and it's... I'm scared for my boy sometimes, because sometimes he's getting in his face right up, and they're like, ooh!
It's a good lesson to learn, though.
Well, luckily, now we're coming up to the time of year when they're not going to be out as much. Now we're in daylight savings time where we get to be in absolute darkness by 5 p.m.
Oh, I hate daylight savings. Here's the
awful.
proposal. But what people don't understand, the fall back time is the true time. The spring forward is the daylight savings time. And that's the time we want. They should just spring forward and keep that permanently.
Spring forward and stay forward.
Yeah. I'd much rather have a longer
bad.
night than an earlier morning.
But I think the time zones are overrated right now. We're in a global world. We know the world's a globe now, and I think we need one set time. Like, hey, 1 a.m. starts when the sun reaches this point for the entire world, and it could be 7 o'clock and it's midnight here, kind of midnight. But we just need one set time. You travel to Arizona, it's still going to be 7 o'clock there, as it's 7 o'clock in New York. That's really what we should be doing.
Time
Just
is relative
one time.
anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We're getting off topic.
Indeed.
We got to start with our top 5. This is a fun one. In this episode, we are actually going to talk a little bit about our own projects that we've been working on, just to, introduce what we're doing and working on. But our top 5 this time around is going to be our top 5 most influential people to, influence us to become writers or, aspiring writers. So, yeah, I could go first if you guys don't mind.
I don't mind at all. I've been looking forward to hearing what your guys' answers are.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I'm in the big leagues or not, or maybe I'll hear your answers. I'll be like,
mine are pretty basic. I can tell you mine. I really can't put them in an order, so I'll just give you my 5. Obviously, Tolkien is a huge
big given
influence. I think Hobbit was one of the first books I ever read, and was just completely in love the first time I read it. Just goes without saying, Tolkien is a huge influence. I mean, he's got to be an influence on most fantasy writers, I would
He's
think.
called the godfather of fantasy for a reason.
Yeah.
Even George R.R. Martin dedicates his R.R. to J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah. So, and then my favorite author, Orson Scott Card. That's the books we're doing. He wrote these. We'll probably get more into why in the podcast. But my next one is J.K. Rowling. Grew up reading Harry Potter books, but I had severe dyslexia growing up, and my mom, who is another influencer, my mom had the genius idea to get me the Harry Potter books along with the audiobook, but she made me follow along in the book as the audiobook was playing. And within a year, I went from like a 3rd grade reading level to like 12th grade. Like,
yeah, and it was a requirement, right? You couldn't just listen to the audiobook. You had to have the book with the audiobook to read along.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And like my love for reading started really with Harry Potter. And so I really owe a lot to J.K. Rowling and my mom for, helping me overcome dyslexia in a big way.
You like your mom?
Yeah. She'll probably listen to this and be happy. So, shout out, Mom.
You're her favorite, so.
You're a great mom.
I am her
Deb.
favorite.
Yeah, she is pretty great.
Yeah. That's why her name's Debbie. That's why we like Little Debbie snacks so much. But yeah, my last influence, and this, not necessarily because, I think he's a good author for sure, but more so, it made me feel like I read like Tolkien and I feel like, oh, there's no way I could ever do this. Or Orson Scott Card. I'm like, I can't write like this ever. Mm-hmm. It's just unreachable. But this author, I felt like, made it seem more reachable because he was such a young author. But also, like, in spite of, like, his style, kind of, just got that fire in me to kind of write something. I wouldn't say like completely anti of what he wrote, but Christopher Paolini wrote the Aragon series. Really a great author for sure, and I enjoyed his books. I hated the ending. I think a lot of people did, but
not a big fan of the ending.
But the thing that like drives me nuts is he's got like a weird fanboyish of elves. Like his elves are like even
they're just perfect.
Yeah. More than perfect.
They're pretty
super
perfect,
strong, super fast, super magic.
They're just obviously better because at least Tolkien, he made them morally ambiguous in the Silmarillion and in the Fall of Gondolin and in the wide spectrum of the mythos. But they do seem like the altruistic race in The Lord of the Rings and in The Hobbit. But still, Tolkien was able to just see, I could make him do one bad thing here.
Yeah.
Whereas Christopher Paolini doesn't seem to do that.
Yeah. And that's something that I've learned, as I've written my projects and stuff. It's like a character that's perfect is boring. A character that has no flaws or like challenges is so boring
most of the time. But what if that's the point? I think that's what One Punch Man is all about.
Yeah,
being the best superhero.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
no one be able to
probably
champ.
the best written, like overpowered character.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can see, but isn't that like
there's a way to do it?
That's like satire, though.
Yeah, satire.
Yeah, that's satire. It's definitely making fun of the whole idea of if no one can beat them, what's the point? He's bored. He's lost all his emotion.
Yeah. Well, I'll get into it more when I talk about my projects, but yeah, that's my top 5 influencers for sure.
Nice. Well, do you want to go next, Jeff?
Sure. Yeah. So when we talked about this, I was more going off of like influences could be anything, not just person.
Thank you. Because when I prepped my list, it was like that. And when Greg said people, I was like, oh, man.
Well,
let me look up some authors here.
That's what I understood it as.
Let me make some adjustments.
I misunderstood the assignment.
These can be related to people. So I think, it's a fair comparison because, like, just as much as, Tolkien was an influence, it was, primarily The Hobbit, right?
Yeah.
And, like, not so much everything Tolkien did.
Oh, yeah.
Primarily The Hobbit.
For sure.
Yeah. But yeah, because same for me. Like, I think a lot of these things are kind of some specifics, but in general, there's someone usually tied to it, and then a broader category that can go with. But so this one, mine do kind of go in a chronological order from like as early as I can remember to kind of nowadays. First thing, video games. And, if my mom is listening to this, she will cringe because of how obsessed I was and still am with video games. I have a 3DS right here that I've been playing with. But one specifically that I remember being such a major influence on me was Dungeon Siege. And that game is nostalgic for numerous reasons. And Greg should know that pretty well. Considering the reason I played that game was because I followed him around when we were little, and I would be his little shadow as he'd go play with his friends and play video games that I was probably too young to be playing.
So you were that little kid on the outside of the circle, just being like, "Let me see, come on, let me see, Greg, let me in."
Hey, I want to play with you. Go away, Jeff. Go away.
Yeah, they get in trouble if I bully them.
I added one to their, football games they would play, so I think they accepted me, at least to be another body for those things. But Dungeon Siege, and I mean that if a game needs a remaster or a remake, that is a game that would like excel beyond anything. The story just hit me so hard when I was little. Just it's you start out as this farmer. And all of a sudden, like, this dude, shows up and he's dying. And he's like, monsters were attacking. And then you're just like, I'm going to go save the world. And you take off and you start kicking butt and meeting all these people in this epic adventure to go save the world from this demon. And it's like Hero's Quest incarnate in a game. And I think that's kind of what solidified.
I thought you were talking about RuneScape. That's what I thought of when you first said Dungeon Siege, but Dungeon Siege is that was such a cool game.
Story to RuneScape, but Dungeon Siege. And you guys know there's a movie they made that was based on Dungeon Siege. You guys know what it's called?
Yeah, with Jason Statham.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's In the Name of the King.
Name of the King. Yeah.
Yeah, I never saw it.
Like
pretty bad.
No, the only relation is he's a farmer, but it's Jason Statham farmer, right? So he's like expert at everything.
And so
he's the normal guy who can do everything.
Yeah. Definitely a guy that gives off peasant vibes.
Clean shaven head.
All clean?
Yeah. But so that one, I mean, I would say like, it was funny because in one of my earliest like essays for, when you're learning to write in elementary school, we had to write a story or something. And one of the earliest things I wrote was literally a rip-off of Dungeon Siege. Like, I hope they don't come for me for copyright infringement, but my story was called Dungeon Siege, with dungeon spelled completely incorrectly. And it literally was just the story of the game. So I can attribute my first writing ever to the fact of playing a video game. The next thing, and I think this everyone probably will relate to, the Mysteries of Harris Burdick. the same guy who wrote The Stranger and Jumanji. He wrote the Mysteries of Harris Burdick, and if you guys remember, it's that book that has all those. It's like pictures, and the story behind it is this guy named Harris Burdick came into his office with all these images and these like little title cards attached to the image, and he's like, "Hey, I want to make some stories with these," and he left them with the author, and then the author never heard of Harris Burdick ever again. He tried to find him, he couldn't find him, and like yada yada yada. He's left with these images, and so he forms them all into this book as like. And the whole point of the book is to kind of like induce creativity, because you have this mysterious image kind of tied to like some title card, and I don't know. That one just made my imagination blow up. I've probably written like 3 or 4 like short stories off of like some of those images, and even to this day I still like just will sit and look at those images and flip through the book and
What was it
think
called?
about like little stories. The Mysteries of Harris Burdick.
I've never heard of it.
I'm sure you recognize it. It's like one of those books they always pop up in elementary school or so. But
yeah, didn't the same guy who did the illustrations for Jumanji also do the ones for Polar Express?
Yes.
Yeah. So I might have. I think this probably came up. If I were to look it up, I'd probably recognize it.
Oh yeah. It's one of those you be like, oh yeah, my teacher probably read that to me at some point. Next,
okay.
Obviously,
These look familiar.
Yeah. Awesome. I encourage anyone has a writer's block, just pull up that book, pick an image, write like a short story off of it, and those images really will make creativity blow up. Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, however you pronounce it.
Depends on if you're British.
What an inspiration. Literally wrote down her idea for Harry Potter on a napkin and then just turned into this massive
to town
thing,
with it.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. First book series. It's rare for anyone to become like a J.K. Rowling, a Harry Potter writer. But still, even then, like same position as Greg, where we had the same mother. So, and we both, must have had the same genes. Where
looked at Jeff hanging out with Greg to be like, oh, this boy's gonna have the same intellectual problems as Greg.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Faked
I had
it.
like a kindergarten reading level in 5th grade, and then my mom's like, here, try this, and just went from kindergarten reading level to 12th grade reading level in like less than a year. And so just the inspiration behind it, just think, to write something this fantastic, because again, the book just spoke to me. I was 12 years old when I read it, so it was like, am I going to get my Hogwarts letter too? Is an owl going to show up? I was like looking out the door every day. I'm turning 12 years old because my birthday was in July as well, and I'm like, oh, Harry Potter. And so just imagination like crazy.
I'm just imagining you as a little kid with binoculars out your window looking for owls.
Oh boy.
I seriously did. I was so convinced. Wonderful stuff. And this one was probably, I would say, like really hit me the most. It was in 9th grade, Miss Tidwell in Sojo Middle School.
I remember her. Oh,
yes.
man.
I had the lucky experience of she had just married the gym teacher, and we always would show up to the class, and I loved them both. They were both great teachers, but we'd show up to class and they'd be in the classroom together, and nobody would go into the classroom. Like everyone was just like standing out the hall, and I just walk right into the classroom. It was so funny. They were not doing anything, but it was just always like a little, tension in the air. But we had this little assignment where we read a short story called "The Lady and the lady or the tiger. And the assignment was the story basically is there's this kingdom. The king has a coliseum with 2 doors, and when he wants to do like a entertaining punishment, he sends the people to this coliseum, and they have to pick between 2 doors. And one door has a lady behind it, and one door has a vicious tiger behind it, and it's random. Like, he switches it up, and so just the entertainment is whoever's being punished. They could either be, blessed with this beautiful maiden who they would marry and have for the rest of their life, or they would be torn apart by this tiger. And so his daughter ends up having this relationship with this peasant, and the king obviously disapproves of it, arrests the peasants, and sends them to the Colosseum. And in a cruel fashion, the princess knows which door has the lady and which door has the tiger. And so the kind of story stops there, where you're kind of given this situation where the princess could tell her lover which door has the lady or which door has the tiger, and which door to pick, kind of. So, like, is she going to tell him to pick the lady door, and so he can marry the lady and live happily with that woman and still be alive, or is she going to tell him to pick the tiger door so he doesn't get the lady?
So it's, if I can't have you, nobody can.
Exactly. And so, it's funny because it just something clicked, and I was like, oh, I have a great idea. And so I wrote it down, and we all got up and we all had to read our like little short story, little short ending we wrote. And everyone kind of had, one or the other. Like, they're, some were trying to. There was a lot of kind of similar veins in their stories. And then I got up and I was reading mine, and I tell you, like, it felt so good. Everyone in the classroom was like just leaning into the story. They were gasping, and then, like, by the time I finished my story, they were like, "Oh my gosh, that was so good!" And Miss Tidwell was like, "Wow, Jeff, that was really good. That was really clever. That was such an interesting way to end it." And she just went on about it. And in that moment, like, I had that feeling like I could write. Like, this is a possibility. Like, if I could get this reaction from a bunch of middle schoolers, there is a chance that maybe I could, reach some other people out there. And so it was just like that just hit me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I could write. So it's such a fun experiment to try. Like, great, take the story, try it yourself, see what you could come up with. And then I'd say the last thing, number 5, has to be like just the modern resources we have. Like, you have Brandon Sanderson's course on writing, you have podcasts galore, you have all kinds of writing things out there.
Oh yeah,
courses and classes. There's a couple podcasts in particular, like by Savannah Gilbo and Jim Thayer, who they both are just masterful at just teaching you the little details on writing, like how you can improve your craft. And I mean, you almost have no excuse to not like start writing, because there's so much out there that can help you to get going, and so much free stuff.
I like a guy on YouTube, Brandon McNulty.
Oh, you listen to him too? Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I like him.
I like how straight to the point he is, and he's pretty funny too.
He's like, well, this sucks for this reason.
Yeah, this sucks because of this and this and this. And this is good because of, like, oh yeah, I love Brandon McNulty.
Oh, good.
He's great.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I've listened to him a little bit too. I think you showed me him, Greg, and yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good on the current events. When Joker 2 came out, he was just right there with like, let me tell you why this movie sucks. It's because of the writing.
Yeah, I'm curious about his books.
He's on it.
Yeah, I haven't looked at his books yet, but I'm always hearing them. Entry Wounds and what's the other one?
Bad Parts.
Oh yeah, Bad
Something
Parts.
Like that. Yeah. But yeah, that's a good point, Jeff, for sure. Like Brandon Sanderson's podcast, it's insane. So much good information.
Oh, just his lectures too, of how they're all for free online, and you listen to him talk, and you're like, this is making so much sense. He's such a chill guy. He is not overcomplicating it, and he's just letting you know what's important. You're making a promise as a reader. It's okay to break it sometimes, but you should probably fulfill that promise and stuff like that. I'm like, what a guy.
Yeah.
What a guy. No wonder I hear other YouTubers always saying about writing, you're like, well, our Lord and Savior, Brandon Sanderson, recommends we do this. I'm like, what? Yes, our Lord and Savior, Brando Sando. He liked my comment on Twitter once. That is my claim to fame. I'm like, what? Yeah, okay, we don't need to start worshiping the guy, dude.
No kidding. But this raises the question, do you even need to go to school anymore?
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
Like, at this point,
I will say,
I guess you do need a degree for depending on profession. Like, you and I needed to go to school to get a license.
Yeah.
But at this point, like with writing,
very few degrees even require, or very few careers even require a degree.
Well, it's true. Very few degrees require a job as well. So,
yeah, I will say, I think there is a good balance to it, because I heard someone say this, because there's so much free stuff out there, but a lot of times people get free stuff and not even use it or listen to it or research it. But if they pay for something, then they have to use it because they paid for it.
Yeah.
And so in some way, I mean, school is a total ripoff of how expensive it is and all these other things about it. But you're still, I mean, you're paying for it.
You get a little piece of paper
to actually use it
that tells you that you're qualified for that specific thing.
Yeah.
You went to school for.
Well, still, even if you do get it, most of the country's not going to listen to you anyway.
Yeah.
I've found.
Exactly.
Not to say that we're anti-education, but
Just get your education in something good.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Go about it in a smart way.
Yeah.
I think what we're saying is you can get education anywhere, not at.
I'm a big proponent for furthering your education. If you want an education, open a book. But if you want a degree, go to school. Like, self-education is our best defense against brain rot, if you ask me.
Yeah. Awesome, Jeff. Was that 5?
Yes.
Yep.
I got a little
five.
distracted
Number
there,
5.
but cool.
Yeah. Like Jeff said, I heard it was the inspiration. So I did not have a bunch of names written there, but if I did have to throw out some names, obviously Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. I can't believe none of you guys said C.S. Lewis. What the hey? And S.E. Hilton, the author for The Outsiders. Definitely a big one for me, because that book is what made me realize a book can be fun, because I hated reading as a kid. The AR point system in middle school, where I was required to read, I hated it. If I'm forced to do something, I do not like it at all. And
I think we're all kind of similar.
yeah, and The Outsiders made me realize, okay, a book can be fun. And then reading The Hobbit was like my first big boy book, and that's what taught me, okay, reading is the art of storytelling is something that is just magical, can just take you wherever you want. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, we can go on about The Hobbit. We're definitely big fans of that. We definitely should do an episode on that sometime.
Well, if somebody picks it, I guess.
But Jeff did remind me with his first choice of video games. I did not have that on my list, but I doubt any of you guys played this game. And I'm sure there's only probably like 1,000 people who will ever watch this video and know this game. But it was on the Sega Dreamcast. It only sold 200,000 copies. So that's really bad for a game. But it's Skies of Arcadia. It was a turn-based combat game that was kind of like trying to compete against Final Fantasy at the time, because Final Fantasy was just coming out. But instead of like, I've never played Final Fantasy. From what I can tell, it's a little more heavy and brooding, whereas Skies of Arcadia, you're in a like Robert Louis Stevenson-esque world where the pirate ships are in the sky, kind of like Jules Verne. And you're just exploring, and it's just a world full of optimists. It's cheery, and it is full of colorful, fun characters. And that is what told me that video games can be a medium for art and storytelling. And the way it ended, and the soundtrack was, oh my gosh, that game needs a remaster. Oh my goodness, it has not been given the love it needs. It is a cult classic online if you search the corners of the internet, and you will find them. And us Skies of Arcadia fans are just begging for a remake. And I tell you, I've been playing that game every 2 years on my old Sega Dreamcast for the past I started playing them when I was like 13. I'm 29. You can do the math. Math is for listeners. And 16, I can tell you, it's a pretty good game. It's a really good game. But I guess that wasn't on my list. But that's what led me to think that video games can be a piece of art, because you go into other video games that are pieces of art, like Majora's Mask is a great exploration on the human psyche when faced with impending doom. Go play Majora's Mask as well. The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. It is amazing. But anyway, my start for enjoying writing, just the masterful way of words, is music. I listened to a lot of music of artists who they would always make a story for their albums. I listened to a lot of conceptual progressive metal, all the subgenres of heavy metal. Like none of you guys are gonna know. You're gonna know the artists. Like if anyone watching this knows the band Ayreon, I have so much respect for you, because they have a crazy world building in all their albums. All their albums is just basically a chapter in their whole saga. It's a sci-fi. It's crazy. Their first album, Into the Electric Castle, is I'm trying to make a D&D campaign out of that one alone. It's such a cool story. Yeah. Such a great concept. But I love the way words just could illustrate the pictures in your mind, and how the music itself, like if it sounded soft, squishy, crunchy, or bombastic, how it could just shape the image and the mood. Mm-hmm. And that's probably why I ended up loving Les Miserables so much that I memorized it all at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Yeah, a fun fact. Call back to our last episode. And I guess number 4 would be nature itself, and I guess that falls into monsters. I love a good monster. Dragons are definitely what got me into basically anything to make stuff up. You know, a video game's got a dragon, a book's got a dragon, a movie's got a dragon. I'm going to consider it. Although nowadays, ever since I saw Raya and the Last Dragon, I was like, oh my gosh, movies can ruin dragons. This is awful. I hated that movie, but it's probably because of Awkwafina's voice acting.
Would you consider a dragon a monster, though? Because I think it's like a misconception that they eat humans. They really only eat treasure.
All right, Charlie.
Yeah, but they are a delicacy for royalty, though.
What'd you say, Jeff?
They're a delicacy for royalty.
Yeah, it's a common misconception that they eat
like us.
Yeah.
But in nature is just a great set of storytelling, because one thing you need to know about me is I really love crows. And that's because they just do some of the coolest stuff in nature.
Yeah,
like
one of the smartest animals, too.
They are one of the smartest animals. And there's like my current project is I'm writing a story. I just call it a story about an executioner in like a peasant village in the northern town of a kingdom. And obviously because he's the executioner, everyone hates him, thinks he's demon spawn, and he makes friends with a murder of crows. And because of that, like, it helps him just progress in life, and he ends up meeting a stranger that takes him on this crazy adventure. Like, it's still a work in progress, but the crows are just what I love writing about in there, because they have the fun personalities, and you just see on the internet there's so many memes. There's little stories of them. One of them I base them on. There's 2 crows at, I can't remember the zoo, but you have the female crow. She broke the top part of her beak in a collision with a car. And her mate, I guess you call it the husband crow, the daddy crow, he picks up the food for her and feeds it into her beak, and they've been doing that for 8 years. And I'm just ooh, I like, and crows are always doing such smart things, and there's so many stories about them that I just love. So nature itself is just really cool. And you're always seeing stuff online, like, you know, bears doing something pretty funny or doing something really cool. And like, I love it. And I guess number 3 would be history. And I guess that's where mythology and possibly religion come into play, but mostly history, because that's where our true heroes are found. One of my favorite heroes in history is Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain from the Civil War. If you know, you know. Give us a like if any of you listening know who Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain is, and tell me your favorite part about him, because I would love to hear it. And number 2 is the exploration of moral quandaries. This is probably why my favorite Halloween monster is a werewolf. I love the idea, and that's why I loved Professor Lupin in the Harry Potter series. And just the idea of a very good man, a very you would never consider him a harmful man, being cursed with something he cannot control.
Yeah.
And the like, how would a society handle that? How do you execute judgment on that? Like, obviously you can't keep him around because every month, every full moon, he's going to be wreaking havoc and ravaging the town and killing people. But at the same time, it's not his fault. Like, I love exploring moral quandaries. Moral ambiguity is always fun.
You like Frankenstein then?
Frankenstein's pretty cool too. Just this monster that didn't ask to be created, and just he's not even given a real name. Poor guy.
Yep.
And I guess
the whole scene where he's waiting in the barn to try and figure out how to talk to this family. Oh, kills me, but is like such an emotional part of the book. Yeah, exactly. And what a perfect name for the werewolf in Harry Potter, Remus Lupin, right?
Oh yeah. Well, if you know your Latin, it's like you would probably think, that's not very creative. I know exactly who this guy is. But
I mean, that's how a lot of J.K. Rowling's characters are named.
It's true. And also, I forgot to mention during your guys' top fives, shout out to J.K. Rowling for always showing us in her book series that an anus joke, a Uranus joke, every now and then is not bad. So I love how she brought that back every now and
They're
then.
still relevant.
Yeah, they're still relevant. She definitely knew her audience with the youth. She's like, oh, they're going to get a kick out of this.
Yeah.
May I see Uranus Lavender?
Okay, Ron.
Every time, that just kills me. And I guess number 5 would just be people and characters themselves, and probably villains. The villains are sometimes probably my favorite part of a story, and just the choices they bring. But the choices that the heroes and the villains make and the lessons they teach are the biggest inspirations. Because I can't tell you how many times I've been doing something difficult and I've told myself, this is hard, but it was also hard for Samwise Gamgee to carry Frodo up Mount Doom, and I can do it too. And then I do the come on to myself and keep going. And when it comes to villains, right now my favorite one is, if any of you have seen the TV show The Legend of Vox Machina Season 2, the Black Dragon Umbrasyl, wonderful dragon villain. Oh, I cannot get over how great the dragons are in that show. They finally did respect, and I should digress there. But yeah, that's my top 5 inspirations for writing.
Well, sorry I didn't understand the assignment.
You're okay. I'm just glad Jeff backed me up, because I was going to be like, crap, I'm the odd one out. I'm just going to be going off of left field here.
It's a good thing I went first. But yeah, that's our top 5. Now, I think we'll kind of introduce our projects that we've been working on. We don't want to spend a ton of time on it because we do have a ton to talk about with the Alvin Maker series. So, who wants to start with their project?
Well, I already mentioned my first one about the executioner who lives in like a secluded town called Lake Lemuria. It's a lake that has like the Aurora Borealis on it.
Cool.
And just befriend some crows. There's another one I made.
Derek.
Yes.
Have you watched the Rick and Morty episode where Rick like basically adopts some crows and like becomes this vigilante with crows?
No, I haven't actually.
You might need to watch it.
I haven't watched anything of Rick and Morty.
It's got some gems.
It's definitely, smart jokes, but most of the show is very trash.
Yeah.
They do have an episode of where Rick literally I think it's called like Two Crows or something like that. Like he literally befriends two crows, and like that becomes like his whole identity. Like he's like Crow Man.
Well, fun fact, I think it's actually illegal these days to have a pet crow because they're so dang smart. Like if they know you value money and you'll give them food for money, they will hang out at ATM machines and just wait for someone to draw out some cash and take it and bring it to you. And it's so wild how smart they are.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It is crazy.
And I guess another it's just been a short story for a while, but it's like I call it the warrior of purpose, because it's basically just a man who was created to kill a nigh unkillable beast called the Skelthrup. I might be changing that name, but basically it explores like what's the point of purpose because he's just created to kill this monster, and it's to explore like, what am I to do after this, and is purpose given or is it chosen, kind of thing. Yeah. And I guess the other short story that I've worked on currently, like I just went back to, it's the story I first wrote on, kind of like Jeff's short story where he got recognition to it. I got it in high school, where like in creative writing my senior year, I took that class thinking it was going to be an easy blow-off class, and that's all. I guess that's another inspiration is that teacher in there helped me see how fun it was to do alliteration and prose, and like we just wrote a short story, and mine was just basically, you know, your cliche princess in the tower. There's a dragon guarding it, but I like try to have a twist on there where the dragon's actually the good guy, because you know, dragons are my favorite. And the teacher picked it out of all of them, saying these were the best ones I found. And that's just like Jeff said. I realized, holy cow, wait, I can write? You liked what I did? Oh my gosh, I have potential? I have potential? So yeah, I was through the roof on that one.
Oh, man.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, enough of me talking. Yeah. Let's hear your guys'
Any little bit of praise just goes such a long way.
Oh man, I've been holding on to that for over a decade.
Writing.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Jeff, why don't you go next?
Cool. Yeah. I couldn't like decide on anything. It was so hard to decide on anything specific because I have way too many things I'm trying to write on. One of the problems with like my work, I walk so long, so much, and you know, when you're walking, your mind just wanders because you kind of get I'm literally just staring at the ground looking for stuff, and so my mind's just wandering, and I literally came up with like 5 new book ideas this past week.
Dang, you're on another level than me, Jeff. I'm more of like, I need to finish these before I do anything else.
I need to have that mindset because I start way too many things before I ever finish one thing. So yeah, I listed a whole bunch, but I think the main thing I'm working on right now, and I came to a realization as I was like working on like 20 different projects, that Brandon Sanderson was right. Your writing is going to be horrible until you've like gotten experience with writing. And because I was typing up like one of a scene in my book, and I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, this just sounds horrible, especially after reading Orson Scott Card. I was like, man, my writing is just terrible. There's like such low flow, and I'm like, crap, I might have to write like 3 or 4 novels to throw away before I actually like write.
I probably need to do that as well. Every time I'm like going, I'm like, this has to be perfect. I can't just run through this. I have to make it good.
Yeah. They call it killing your darlings.
Yes.
You know, where you have to, pretty much
literally
kill your babies that you love in order to actually write something good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I think my main project I'm working on right now is actually, both of you should be familiar with this because I think it was like maybe a year and a half ago, we were supposed to start something that I was supposed to lead, but it never happened.
Oh, yeah. I remember this.
It's a little bit of a fan fiction because I am obsessed with Dark Souls. And
can I tell you how excited I was for that campaign? I rolled so good on my strength stat. My paladin was going to be so good in there. I was so ready to just be the guy carrying the team.
Yeah, that was my first experience with D&D, and it never happened.
I was getting ready to carry the team because all you guys were new except me. I was like,
now I'm gone. I'm lost.
I rolled so good. Ready for it. Yeah.
You nerds.
I think I still have that character sheet, though. And I think I named him after that band I mentioned, Arion.
You nerds almost had me, but
Thragon.
You're still too much of Oh, yeah, I think I did Thragon instead. I think I was going to name him Arion, but I went with Thragon. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, Thragon, the gold dragonborn paladin. Oh, he was going to be so cool.
I'll have to change it. I had my Dragonborn.
You're still too much of a jock.
Yes. So hopefully, now we can eventually move forward with that. You guys are still interested in. It might be a year from now, but we'll see.
Maybe that'll be another podcast we do. We stream Jeff's Dungeon. Yeah, that sounds a little weird.
Jeff's Dungeon.
Dungeon.
You guys to the walls. A little,
what was the video game you guys played? Dungeon Siege. Jeff's Dungeon Siege.
Yes.
There you go.
Oh man, yeah. So, or that game. So, but I basically, fan fiction. It's a post. Oh gosh, I got to be careful not to go too deep into this.
Because we got a book to talk about, man.
So Dark Souls lore. Vati Vidyas. He does the best Dark Souls breakdown of the lores. So go watch his videos to kind of get a sense of the lore. But basically, the story I'm writing is like after everything's happened in all three games, and kind of basically the entire world just falls apart and ends. And there's this painting created that basically becomes the last refuge for humanity. And so my book kind of builds off that with the whole painting concept with other worlds, because the paintings in Dark Souls are magical. They become another world. It's a literal portal to another world dimension.
Yeah, they're level entrances in Super Mario 64.
Yeah. Just more dark and gritty with a lot more blood.
Yeah, a lot better graphics.
You can go and get stars. Collect stars.
The souls look like stars from far away.
Yeah, there you go.
You get enough of those, throw them up in the sky, you got a bunch of stars.
Dark Souls is just Mario 64.
You're the space guy, Greg. Maybe stars are just, lost souls.
Maybe.
On a timer. And then they get
it's the trash that burns up and it turns into smoke and goes up in the sky.
Shut up, stars. You nerd.
No, they're fireflies.
Oh yeah, they're little fireflies.
Bluish black thing.
Yeah.
The big bluish black. So yeah, basically I feel like I can make this my throwaway novel because it's a fan fiction I'm probably never going to be able to publish because, well, copyrights and all trademarks and blah blah blah. But I can be a little more free with it. I don't feel like I have to stick to a specific scene to keep the story going, because being that it's going to be based on it's based on a campaign concept, I could have 3 different scenes for kind of the same setting, because different choices are going to be made depending on what characters run into. So it'll allow me ability to develop the story, practice my scene writing, and basically get that experience that I need. So that's my project.
Sweet. I was excited to hear about your Star-Lord Douglas Adams type character who wears his cowboy PJs.
Yeah, I could talk about that one, but we might not. So 2 different things for that one. Primarily based on a Harris Burdick, one of the pictures. There's these balls of light that are in this kid's bedroom, and they're like, "Is he the one?" I think he's the one, or something like that. That's the tagline. And this kid's sleeping in his bed with these balls of light kind of hovering above him by his window. And so that I was had a little inspiration, and then a dream I had about this kid orphaned in space. And I was somehow those just mashed together and became this this kid basically gets orphaned in space because he was thought to be the chosen one, and then he gets abandoned by these aliens, and he basically he's left in his cowboy pajamas, and then he has this Douglas Adams Star-Lord-esque experience going rogue through space on his own, happened to learning how to survive in space, kind of thing, in his cowboy PJs.
Don't worry, Jeff. I remember in high school. Oh man, I'm gonna get so much crap for this from you guys, but this is to make you feel better. So I'm taking one for the team. I had just got Super Smash Brothers Brawl for the Wii. Like, this is my very first time buying a Super Smash Bros. Game. So this is my first time seeing, Samus, and then finding out Samus was a girl. And I remember just being like, whoa, she's hot. And I remember taking one of my little Transformers and just being like, I'm Samus's husband. And I pretended it was me. But I'd be like, I'm not Samus Aran, I'm Samuel Aran. I'm Samus's husband. So yeah, that's probably the worst character I've ever made up.
Nice.
Anyway, Greg, talk about embarrass yourself.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of like Jeff in a way. I mean, we are related. I tend to bite off more than I can chew, and I tend to not be able to, go down one single path. So I literally have a project in every genre.
Oh, jeez.
That I have. That I'm not working on them all, but I have the ideas in my head for them. But my baby, my darling, I refuse to kill it. So I've taken kind of a break from that. And I've realized just how bad my writing is with that. And so kind of the thing I'm working on right now is the sci-fi about, I don't want to give it away too much, but it's pretty obvious that it's like a Sasquatch creature that he somehow gets teleported through a wormhole to Earth, and he has to find his way back home. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been different because it's all been discovery writing. Most of my other projects, I've had like layouts and outlines, and I come up with characters. But this whole book has been just pure discovery writing. It's been fun in a way, just trying it. It was just going to be a short story, but I'm like, oh, I got a lot in my head about this I could do. So
yeah, and you guys are probably always like I don't know, you're probably like me where you're driving to other places to do electrical work and you're just automatically thinking, what am I going to have my character do at this point? Or how can I tie the theme together with the next event or something like that? Just always thinking. And it sounded like you already said you do that all the time, Jeff, by making 5 books, ideas for 5 books out walking.
Yeah. I mean, I'm constantly thinking about my projects.
It's always that back of the mind. It's like the default your brain goes to when you're just want to make something.
Tell how you came up with it, or what one of your inspirations for this book, Sasquatch book?
I believe it sounds like Sasquatch.
You talking about Skinwalker Ranch?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I didn't want to give too much away, but yeah, Skinwalker Ranch, because there's a lot going on there that they think that there's possibly a wormhole there. And there's been like sightings of skinwalkers or Bigfoot and things like that. So, I just kind of...
you just got so much, I think, material and inspiration just from all the craziness happening there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like, it's a rabbit hole I've delved into that's... I consider myself a pretty big expert on now. I've read all the books on Skinwalker. I've watched all the documentaries and things like that. And yeah, I still haven't gone there. That's my next step. But
you're a brave soul if you go there.
I saw Brandon Fugel. He's the owner. And I left a note on his car telling him that I could do electrical work on Skinwalker Ranch.
Did you do it pro bono?
yeah. I was geeking out because I was working on an airport and he was flying on a private jet.
Oh my gosh.
He's like a billionaire.
Wow.
And
oh yeah, no doubt.
his Lamborghini.
I
I wrote out a note saying,
boy.
"Hey, Mr. Fugel, I'm a big fan. I can do electrical work for you on Skinwalker Ranch." Left him my number.
Fantastic.
And
Hey, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah, guess
Wayne
what,
Gretzky,
though?
Michael Scott.
I never received a text.
Oh.
He's just waiting for the right project. He's probably looking at this mess of wires and being like,
Or maybe he gave it to
Yeah.
his secretary and she just hasn't gotten around to it.
Yep. I'm still hoping. But anyways.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. One thing I forgot to mention, my baby project that, it's just continually kind of working on, but very, very slowly. That's where Christopher Paolini was such a big influence. I was so annoyed by like his elf, like his version of the elves.
His archetypal elf.
Yeah. That I was like, nobody's really written a book where the elves are like the bad guys,
Well,
like evil.
I think some, but I don't think there's like any huge pop culture phenomenon where there is.
No, there's people have done it. Like Michael J. Sullivan wrote a whole series.
Okay.
Where they're
You're
kind of the bad
aware.
guys,
Okay, I didn't
for
want
sure.
you to claim like,
that's-
I thought of this idea.
That was me in high school reading the Aragon series, thinking that, and that's where I'm like, this is my idea. This is kind of where it comes from, for sure.
Oh yeah, it's like Brandon Sanderson thinking about like the heist book. When he was writing
Yeah.
this one, like, nobody's written a heist book, and it's like I think there's been a lot.
Yeah. Or like, he makes fun about his like magic system in Mistborn that is basically like Magneto. It's like it's everything.
Magneto with a lot more complications.
Yeah, pretty much everything has been done, and like in this project, from a huge influence from Orson Scott Card and the Alvin Maker series. Like my magic system is very similar to this magic system in a way, but
So yours is pretty soft.
yeah, depending.
Okay. Which I am excited to talk about the magic in this book. I love the concept of it, but
For sure.
I don't want to get too far ahead.
Yeah, but that's my projects really. There's very slow, man. It's tough. That's the one thing I struggle most is finding time to sit down, because like I could have an hour, but then I'll sit down and I'll be like blank. I have nothing to write. But then like the hour comes up and I'm like, oh, I got all this inspiration. But, oh crap, well, I have to help with the babies, or I have to go to work, or blah blah blah, always something comes up. So I don't know if that's the same for you guys, but
I have
It's
to
the
write
same
down
for
my
me.
ideas, or else I'm a blank slate
yeah.
when I get to writing. I want to mention I've already like reviewed and edited some of Greg's initial drafts on his baby work. His special book that he's been writing. I want to note one correction I had to make where he was struggling to find a word alternative to belly button. One of his characters.
I couldn't think of
And I was like,
Navel?
and then
I'll have
your
you.
reaction to that was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Belly button was not the right word, because it
Yeah,
definitely
you're just
made
like, wow, that really
comical.
it goes from
What's gonna
serious to
be-
baby o'clock so fast. Because belly button. Like, how do you make that sound serious?
Yeah. No, but some like big author, I read it in a book where they used the word belly button in the same kind of like seriousness level that I was using it in my book.
Wow.
But I can't remember who. I swear it was like Orson Scott Card or no, it might have been George R.R. Martin
Oh, really?
in his book.
Oh
Yeah.
I could totally
In
see
Game
that.
of Thrones. I think
Oh,
so.
dang.
Yeah.
Oh, you've read Game of Thrones?
Yeah, a few of them.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I obviously haven't read all of them because he's not finished. And I don't think
I
he
know.
ever will.
That's the thing I struggle with, and we talked about that last time, or I said Orson Scott Card wasn't finished with the series, but I went home that night and found out he finished. I'm so
Yeah.
excited. That was like the best news that I've heard. I guess Master Alvin is the last one, and it's coming out.
And that's book 7, right?
April, I believe. Yeah,
Which
7.
I think would be a great way. I haven't read them all just because of the fact you said Orson Scott Card hadn't finished this, and I was like, I really don't want to get invested on a book series I don't know when's going to be done. But the first 2 books were really good, and with the first book being called Seventh Son, it would make really cool sense to have them be 7 books, because 7 actually has like obviously a mystique and mystical power to it in this universe.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the audiobook, he says, at the end of the first audiobook, he has like a little dialogue he relates where he kind of gets his inspiration for the story, and he's like talking about how initially he was only going to write 1 book, and then it turned into like 3 books, and then he eventually is like, okay, I'm on the 6th book, and he's like, I don't care how long the 7th is going to be. It could be, I can't remember. He said it could be like 1 million words or something, or 700,000 words. I don't care. I'm going to end it on the 7th book.
Yeah.
So,
how about we go in and talk about this book? We've been talking about ourselves for too long, I would think.
Seamless transition.
Yeah.
So
perfect.
I chose Seventh Son and Red Prophet by Orson Scott Card. He's my favorite author. And this series is like, I wouldn't say it's my favorite series or my favorite books, but it's definitely up there. It's definitely like a special place in my heart. But yeah, I just get blown away reading these series. I don't know if you guys get the same feeling, but like this is where I feel like Orson Scott Card has just cemented himself as one of the greats of all time.
I will agree. For those of you listening, a brief summary of this book is it takes place in an alternate history of frontier America. So the layout of America and Canada is a little different, and there is a soft magic system of Appalachian magic, which first off, a concept I didn't know I wanted in my life until Greg had me read these book series. And it takes place in frontier America, and it follows basically, at least in Seventh Son and Red Prophet, the life of the birth of Alvin Miller, the 7th son of a 7th son, up until he's 12 in Red Prophet. And there's more books I haven't read them.
Yeah.
These guys have, and it sounds like I'm going to read them now that I know it's getting finished. And it is an awesome concept, and Orson Scott Card's mostly known for Ender's Game. And he seems to just keep cranking out stuff for that universe all the time. Ender's Game, I'm a fan of Ender's Game. It was a great book. The concept was fantastic. The plot twist, so good. However, the way he writes in there, I feel like he doesn't possess the prose and the flow as well as he does in Seventh Son and Red Prophet.
Yeah. I can. Totally
I feel like it just works so well in Seventh Son. Like he captures the feel of frontier America, of people who are just willing to help out people. And it makes me so envious I didn't live in that time, even though I love my modern amenities, electricity and plumbing. But it's just like when I hear about my pioneer ancestors.
Like a simple time.
Yeah, simple time back when you didn't have to think, oh, is this person a scammer? Oh, is this person trying to lie to me? Like honesty was a lot more prevalent, and you could trust people more. And if you couldn't, well, it was okay to beat them up if you could.
Or have a duel.
Yeah, or have a duel.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it was wild terrain for sure. Yeah, and he does a good job at showing both, showing how the community aspects of things, how tightly knit people could be, even on their farms that were separated over miles, and but then also how divisive certain groups could be as well, and how the motivations for people at the time, I guess. Displayed. Yeah.
And I think perfect example is the start of Seventh Son, where Alvin's family. He hasn't been born yet. He's in his mother's womb, and they're
Belly button.
Yeah. But they're trying to. They come to this river, and they try and cross it. But in the story, you come to find out that the ultimate villain in this story is called the Unmaker, and the Unmaker has power over water, pretty much, and is able to use
all the
water.
elements have some kind of like consciousness to them, like the earth, the air, the fire. They're all described as having some purpose to them, and water allies itself with the Unmaker because it seeks to kind of dissipate and destroy it.
Yeah, because water is it's the main source of erosion. It's what it cuts mountains if it runs through it long enough. Like water is just this great force that can just cut through anything given enough time.
Yeah, and so the protagonist Alvin is going to be born. Did I spit in your eye?
No, I just got itchy. You're good. I just had an itch.
I spat when I said protagonist.
Protagonist.
And you wiped your ass. Oh boy. But yeah, Alvin is going to be born. And so the Unmaker, who knows about Alvin and, that Alvin's going to be potentially the person that stops the Unmaker, tries to destroy or kill him by making this river flood. It's a storm they're going through in the wagon, and I don't know about you guys, but somehow Orson Scott Card made me fall in love with Vigor.
Oh,
when he's
with just a short amount of time,
with literally less than a chapter, this character is in the story, and Vigor is somebody that I would name my kid after. Just this character. He just does so good at showing that this boy, the son of Alvin Sr., is such a noble person. He ends up sacrificing himself to save his mother, and gets caught in this tree stump that's flying down the river.
Yep.
But he sacrifices himself
purposely
to
jumps
move it
in
away.
front of it,
jumps in it to
divert it.
Yeah, divert it, and gets caught in the roots and gets drugged downstream. Oh man, yeah, that moment. And what really got me there was after he's being carried away, and Alvin, the dad Alvin, as all this is happening, he says to himself, he says as if his son is there, Vigor is there, live, because as the firstborn son, he's been that great example as a firstborn.
He's always done what his father
always
says.
obeyed his father, and he's not. This is the first time he's not going to obey me because I know he's dead. But please, just live. And I don't know. It's hard to describe why that, because like you said,
it's so impactful.
I just barely saw Vigor do something crazy. This is my first introduction to him, and now
you don't know these people.
In those sentences, I now have an idea of, oh my gosh, he has been this great older brother. He has been a great helpmeet to his mother and father. He has just been this great, perfect son. And it's not the perfect where you're oh, aren't you so perfect and boring.
Yeah.
You're wow, perfection has responsibility, and look what that brought him. It brought him an early and untimely death that was very emotionally impactful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about setting a scene for your book and how things are going to be moving forward. I mean, this is no children's story. This is raw, unedited. It talks about him, bashing into the tree against the rocks, and then his arm sitting up in the air as he's being carried away. It's this is all very
blood
graphic,
streaked across the rock that he got bashed on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's very
visceral.
It's
this is hardcore frontier life kind of thing.
Yeah, he's not pulling his punches with opening this book. He grabs his audience with this event, and boy, does he just deliver.
Yeah. Yeah, because it is such an important event, because basically the hero of the story is being born. And And the father knew, Alvin Sr. knew that it was so important that Vigor lived so Alvin could be the seventh son legitimately, because there's some...
Of a seventh son.
Yeah, seventh son of a seventh son. There's some power in that. And, I think back in the day it was like a superstition, but...
Right. And you could, like, when I first read this, I was like, he's still the seventh son, even if Vigor's dead. Like, why are they putting such a big deal that this is a much superstitious time? And, like, why does that matter? Like, it just does. Just go with it. And people are a lot more superstitious with this, and don't dwell on that like I did my first time reading this. The second time reading this, I enjoyed it a lot more.
Well, then it brings in the argument if Callie is legitimately a seventh son, or if he's
the eighth son. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, such a cool intro. You get introduced to
the Miller family, because you still hear about the other kids. Like, you hear Waste Not and Whatnot, the twins, which you don't hear much about them, but every time I hear them doing something, I just imagine the friendship I've always wanted with a sibling forever. Just like having someone that looks like you and is able to kind of sense the same thing and just able to work in tandem with you, no complaint, and just be able to follow orders. Like, they start executing actions to start saving the family, and you find out later in the book they have the knack. That's like kind of the way they describe their little magic talents is a knack. Their knack is to be able to find out who's in trouble before it happens, so they can get there just on time.
Sense of danger.
Yeah, like I hardly hear them talk, or you don't get them much, but just those few sentences, it gives me enough of a mental picture to like put this character onto these names and just love them for it, which I think Orson Scott Card did a great job in this book.
Yeah, like Measure is literally probably he might be my top favorite character of all time.
Oh man.
Or, he's at least in my top 5.
I loved him in Seventh Son, and then I really loved him in Red Prophet.
Just wait till you read more. It only gets better with him.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
He does one of the like noblest things, and it's almost like Orson Scott Card unintentionally made it so noble without really knowing how noble it is. It seems like it just kind of brushes over it, but like honestly, it's one of the parts. I think it's in Prentice Alvin, or it might be Alvin Journeyman. I can't remember, but anyways. Yeah, I think it is Alvin Journeyman actually, but it is just such like a incredible part. It's like it comes around from what happens in this in Red Prophet comes.
Okay,
but yeah, you gotta experience it.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll definitely get there. But
we get introduced to Peggy as well, which is the torch, and that's very, very interesting power too. When I think of Peggy, I also think of that character in Aragon series, the little girl that he blesses.
Was it Ella or something?
Elva.
Yeah,
Elva.
That she becomes
she's able to like see the future for a second.
Has all the powers.
But basically curses her to be a shield for everyone's pain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I can see Peggy. He does really good at making her seem kind of like a biatch almost, but like a pessimist. But I can see why she is that. Seeing everybody's future and knowing kind of like everybody's
she's a little
intentions.
Like, what is she, like 5 or 6?
Yeah, she's 5
like
in
so
the beginning.
Mature because she has to witness basically everyone's internal thoughts and everyone's like potential futures and everything.
Which is a great concept, being exposed to like all these adults like sensibilities and moral quandaries and just unrighteous desires or noble desires, whatever they may be, as that young, just being exposed to that all the time and seeing like, their heart fire.
She even knows that like her dad cheated on her mom, and like
gosh, that's so wild.
Like deep down still wants to be with that woman.
Yep, and she doesn't bring it up because she knows like I can't.
Yeah,
but good on, like, she's sometimes tempted to do it. It's
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, they make it to...
Yeah, she's like the main reason, like, they're able to find, or the people around there are able to go help the Millers.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
she senses and sees something happening off in the distance with her torch powers. And then they get the Millers to their, like, roadhouse that her parents manage, and that leads to, like, the whole, like, her basically becoming intertwined with Alvin Jr. with this birth, right?
Yeah. She's able to see his futures, and he kind of describes it as like she sees every future kind of all at once.
Yeah,
not
like
just
all the branching paths. Like, I think it even says in the book the billions, not millions, the billions of path choices that he could have taken and all the possible futures that he could have had all at once, which, like, talk about being overwhelmed as a 5-year-old. That's like receiving 7 terabytes of hard drive on a 2 gigabyte hard drive.
Or it's like Doctor Strange doing his little seizure, seeing all the futures. But yeah, so that's kind of what we're talking about. Community is the people of this town were so willing to go and help this family that they have no idea who it is, but yeah, they're able to help them to the roadhouse. The mother gives birth, but all the while, Vigor is staying alive, fighting for his life, pretty much. But he's
Peggy's able to confirm that because of her torch ability.
She can see his heart fire
in turn,
in the
she
distance.
confirms that to the other people, or her or Alvin's Vigor's family. So, like, then they still know, oh, this is still, like, a big thing able to happen. Vigor's still, like, holding on so that Alvin can be born.
Yeah. And then a big part of it is she's able to kind of save Alvin as he's being born, because he has a piece, he calls it a caul.
Yeah.
Piece of the membrane stuck over his mouth, and she's able to remove that. But she was kind of a weird thing. She keeps it. But, you come to find out later that she...
With a purpose.
Yeah. She keeps it.
She's not just some weird kleptomaniac.
She's using that to channel Alvin's powers to, keep him safe.
Yeah, I know that probably sounds pretty complicated if anyone's, like, first time listening to this and trying to figure out what it is. I don't personally fully understand the magic system. The Appalachia, it's like folk magic. So, like, it's a soft magic system. Like, you guys help me try to, like, I like to have things somewhat
there
defined.
Seem to be, like, certain rules, but then it's all
like, I know, like, I'm fine with a soft magic system. Tolkien's magic system was incredibly soft.
Yeah.
And you could say that J.K. Rowling's was soft, because I'm like, you never know what they can do next. But I like having a sense of limitations and what to know. And this is folk magic, which it doesn't seem like it exerts much on them, but they need, like, sometimes they need a material, or they're like born with this knack to, like, for example, like Alvin's sister Eleanor, she's able to make her cooking a lot better than everyone else's with her knack. But it does mention them doing hexes or laying out, like, certain,
like, with hand signs.
Doing a soothing or a calming with their hand. Like, so I don't fully understand the magic system, but I understand enough to be like, okay, they can do these things, but it doesn't, like, break the world that they're in.
Yeah. It's kind of, I feel like this is something you kind of just go with. And, like,
it
don't
is something
try and
you have
overthink.
to go with. You can't get bogged down with the technicalities.
You're just like, okay, I kind of imagine it working like this.
And that's why it was probably so much better the second read around for me, because I was like, I know I can't figure this out all the time. So I think I just squeaked my voice there. Sorry. I know I can't figure this out all at once. So I'll just go with it, and, I'll just enjoy what it is worth. And it actually does make it a lot better. But that doesn't mean it's written badly. It probably makes more sense in the later books.
I don't know if it is a reason to fault Orson Scott Card. But this is something Brandon Sanderson talks about, like really like defining your magic system. And if you know any of his books, his magic systems are so like laid out in front of you that you know exactly what
he
it
has
is.
exposition galore to explain his magic.
And luckily with this magic, it's never doing Deus ex machina. I never felt like it was a cheap get out of jail free card for anyone, which in fact, I think one big plot point of Seventh Son is how Alvin holds to his promise, which we should probably let's explain that part where he has this vision with the Shining Man.
Yeah, we're gonna have to progress and kind of blow through these sections, but there's just so much to talk about. It's crazy.
This whole let's talk about what he did to receive the vision, because I think it's a great example of when you give the powers of, well, I don't want to say a god, but like you could say these supernatural powers that are somewhat godlike.
Basically, Alvin can like manipulate things on like in different scales and in a way like put a purpose or a design into something to get it to do what he needs to, and
describes it as like how it ought to be. Like he encourages
which I would say
nature
that
to
leads
kind of
more into like a harder magic system, because like the hexes and the knacks might not be fully explained, but then Alvin's ability is very well like laid out in kind of how he does it and like how
that's true. He does kind of explain how it's some things are more complicated than others, but he's able to like commune with the cockroaches in his house. And this is where I think it was a great example of like when you give these great of powers to, he's 6 at this time, right? I think he's 6 to a child. He's gonna misuse them, which he does.
Yeah, and it's like he doesn't even really understand. And like they kind of he addresses that in the book, that the family knows that he's special, but they kind of just like, oh yeah, it's his knack. He's got a knack for that.
He does things.
He does
he
things.
Seems to do things well, make things well, and put things together so they fit and they don't come apart. I
have to say this part in the book is probably my favorite, combined with the part in Red Prophet where they parallel and come together. I feel like Orson Scott Card it's not a high action at all.
It does seem pretty slow burn, but everything he talks about has a point. It has a meaning. It's like every little mechanism in a watch serves a purpose. Everything he taught, like I felt none of my time wasted. Great payoff.
And it feels like he takes his time. And this is what I've learned from Orson Scott Card in his writing. Like a lot of times when I'm writing, I'm like, I got to get all the information out. Just like, got to keep it entertaining. But like, if you're a good writer, it's entertaining. You can take your time with it. And that's what I felt reading through this part, like they're at the church, the ridge beam falls, it splits to fall in between Alvin so he doesn't die. And so that whole like night just seems kind of special in a way. Like the mom, Alvin Sr. and the mom are like kind of arguing with each other. He's like, why did the ridge beam split this way? It's like, like he's
the
got
father,
like a protector.
He's very superstitious about the water. Mom's more religious, and so they're kind of arguing about it.
And so you see kind of this he takes you on this journey kind of following Alvin at his home where he's like in cahoots with his sisters. He like pokes one of his sisters in the butt, and then they put pins in his nightshirt, and like
just being a silly little kid.
Right?
The common bickering and quarrels of young children.
And so this is where Alvin and the cockroaches come into play. He's made this deal with cockroaches, and I gotta say, I made this deal with spiders, and I swear it worked. I'm like,
pray tell, Greg, how you are this special kid who made a deal with spiders.
Hey, I kind of feel like there's a lot of truth in like, especially the Native American lore in this, and like almost like karma. You know, it's like
Okay.
spiders are obviously they're not like out to get you by any means, and so it's like I'm deathly afraid of them, but at the same time, I know they're good. I know they're not evil or anything. So
Right.
you know, it's just like if I don't see you, I won't kill you, type of deal. You know, so kind of what like Alvin made with the cockroaches.
Okay. If you don't get on, like Alvin
Stay out
made,
of my way. Stay out of my
stay
stuff.
off the bed, off my stool. The floor is free game.
Yeah, and this is a
We'll
safe
get along
place
just fine. Yeah,
for you.
Yeah, in the minds of the cockroaches, they're like, "This is the safe haven." This
Yeah.
the voice told us to, which
Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool concept as well. Like the roaches, since they have such small understanding, they pretty much consider Alvin as a god, basically.
Yeah.
Like he says it's safe here, and it's been safe, and nothing but safe.
Yeah, so we can trust him. He says, "Go in that room. There's food. Go on the sisters."
Go on their pillows.
Yeah, go.
Yeah.
Then we can trust him. And then Alvin does this, innocently, just trying to get back at his sisters. But the
Sends
sisters
a massive
yeah,
swarm of cockroaches into his sister's room.
Yeah, the sisters scream, and so the mom and dad come in and they start stomping the cockroaches, and then
man.
they flee.
What I would
and
have
they're
given to do that as a young boy to my sisters. If I could have just done that.
Yeah, but the cockroaches flee, and now they can't trust God, pretty much.
Yeah, which is a crazy concept. Sorry,
Yeah.
I interrupted you.
No.
They're like, that place
So
isn't safe anymore.
Alvin was
It's full
kind of
of
like
lies.
essentially.
Yeah, the voice lied. How?
Yeah.
What do we do? And they're just so full of fear.
Yeah, and Alvin, he hasn't realized this at this point, but that's when the Shining Man comes into play, and you find out later that this Shining Man is Lala Wasaki in Red Prophet. He's the drunken red,
The one-eyed red.
White Murder Harrison killed his father, and he's got this black.
He's
black
plagued
sound.
by this. He gives some preface to it. He was a native who was hypersensitive. Like his family said that he felt the bees when they died, like in the winter. He was so hypersensitive to the nature around him, and so and this is and another concept of the book is Orson Scott Card takes actual historic characters and incorporates them into the story. And this is William Henry Harrison, who was our seventh president. I should know this, right? He was one of the presidents for only a short time, but this went back when he was trying to be Governor Harrison, and he kills Lala Wasaki's father right in front of him, which causes this like traumatic black noise to take a hold of him for like the majority of his life, which leads him to the drinking, becoming a drunken red.
Ninth president.
Ninth president.
There we go.
Yeah, which he was
close.
the shortest president. I think he only lasted like less than a month or something.
Yeah.
Like he died
Spoilers
from pneumonia.
that might play a part in some books. But.
Spoiler alert.
That's
But
okay.
yeah. Sorry,
Spoiler.
Jeff. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. It's just I was just adding that in as a kind of reference because I think that's one of the things I absolutely love. U.S. history and of course into history. I literally we found 3 different historical sites in this area we're working in, so I'm literally like in it. But
And you
I
probably
don't know which president he was.
you deal with a lot of Native American stuff as well. Your wife's Native American. I feel like this Red Prophet especially is such like a tribute to the Native American culture in a way. Like I know like the story itself is fictional and fantasy, but like I feel like he captures their lore and their nature and just like their mentality with nature and all that so well.
Well, it's kind of like what we were talking about with our first episode with the power of one, with the Africans mythology and everything.
Yeah.
Like most of fantasy is just so dominated by European fantasy, you know, like the classic knights and wizards and dragons, obviously, which I'm a big fan of. But
legend.
it's Arthurian legend, and it's so nice that there are writers like this who see how just powerful and mystical and compelling that these other mythologies are, these other mythoses that other cultures have made throughout thousands of years, and how just it is something to like, it is awesome to know and understand and come to learn and to see how it shaped their motivations and choices. It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he does a great job for sure.
So, yeah.
The characters, like I said, like Tenskwatawa or Lalawaski was an actual like red or Native American.
He says that's the word they use in the book is they call the Native Americans reds.
In context.
Yeah, it's all in context.
But,
we do not wish to discriminate any ethnicity.
And in American history, along with William Henry Harrison and plenty of others, like again, it's so wonderful how he incorporates it, and he changes the history. Obviously, it's not a one-to-one, but
I feel like that's one of the best draws to historical fiction, is to see people you know in there, and then because of like the concept he's introduced and like the alternate like historical moments that he made up for this, how it affects their paths. And I feel like I'm not a huge history buff, probably as much as you are, Jeff, but would you say that the choices he had those historical figures make is kind of in consistency with what we know of those people?
I'd say there's a large part for sure. I think it tends to take certain characteristics, like Andrew Jackson comes in Red Prophet and talks about his kind of character, how he was so belligerent, but he was like so straight and honest, and like Tecumseh, who's Lalawaski's brother, he's another historic character. I think he was illustrated perfectly in his role, because the way you read about him in history books is so like his character is so closely matched to how he seems to be in the Red Prophet books.
Very noble.
Just how he acts. Very noble, very learned. He was
stoic.
He was a very well educated,
very purpose driven.
Yeah. And his whole purpose was to kind of retake the landscape, and that's exactly what he tried to do. But then there are certain characters I think Orson Scott Card kind of wants to accentuate some more of their like the native aspects of them, like Andrew Jackson and like William Henry Harrison. And the things they did, which, could be equated to some atrocities, but also like, in their attempts to make an expansion for America, right? Not necessarily an entirely villainous act, but appearing so in the book, just taking those characteristics and kind of putting a magnifying glass on them.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many characters in this book. I'd say it's equivalent to Game of Thrones as far as like the characters.
Yeah. To give our listeners an idea, just the Miller family alone has 14 kids,
7 sons, and then like 6 daughters.
8 sons if you count Vigor, because Callie gets
Callie.
born after, and 7. So like 13 kids.
Yeah,
it's my goodness.
Then all the people, the towns, the villages, and the French. Don't forget the French.
Oh yeah, don't forget the French. But let's get back to Alvin's vision with Lalawaski, the Shining Man, as we know him in the Seventh Son.
So Lalawaski, he's got this black like smoke sound, which makes it so he can't hear the green sound, which is like what Native Americans hear in the story that help them connect with the earth.
It's the land sound,
And so it's because White Murder Harrison killed Lalawaski's father, and so the only thing that helps the sound go away is liquor or whiskey. And so they call him a whiskey red. He's always drunk or has the appearance of being drunk, because even when he's not drunk, he can't walk straight because of the black noise. And so Lalawasiki, and there's just so much to digest here, but I can't get into it. I mean, like the whole character arc of Hooch was just so fun, but like ultimately,
oh my gosh,
Lalawasiki steals this keg of whiskey and runs away from White Murder Harrison's whole fort. And
the only reason he's hanging around there is because like he couldn't go anywhere without liquor, and so he needed a way to finally get it so he could like have a supply to get where he needed to.
Yeah. And so he takes off with this whiskey, and he just drinks enough to where the black noise goes away, and he's on a journey to find his dream beast. And so that's kind of what leads him to Vigor Church. This is the town that the Millers established.
Yep. Vigor Township.
Where they're living. This is, where the ridge beam fell at the church. And, Lalawaski's just trying to find anything that will help. And so he comes across Reverend Thrower and Armor of God Weaver.
Which I hope we talk a bit about them later on. Because, Reverend Thrower has me... He fills me with some unkind emotions, but I understand where he's coming from.
He is the definition of certain groups in frontier history.
The pushy, judgmental, condemning Christian.
Perfect representation of a wide swath of people that cause problems in history.
These characters, every character are so well described and written that you love every single one of them in your own way. Like obviously Thrower, you love him because he's such
you have to admire his dedication.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to admire with his understanding why he does what he does, and you can't really I couldn't really blame him, but at the same time I was like, well, we'll talk about Thrower later. Right now we're talking about Lalawasiki, how he comes to Vigor Township, and he ends up getting baptized.
Yeah, he ended up getting baptized, but that doesn't fix it. And so, he
knows he's getting close to his dream beast.
Yeah, he can sense his dream beast is close. And when he's at the church, he notices these kids playing, and he can't see one of them. So because he also has a missing eye. And so
a little poor in detail we forgot to mention there.
Yeah, he closes his good eye, and then he's able to see Alvin. I don't know. It doesn't really explain why.
Shining.
It's kind of like Odin's eye.
Yeah. So it's just part of the dream beast path that he's taking. Mm-hmm. So he sees that Alvin is his dream beast, and so he kind of follows Alvin around, and he's watching Alvin as he's, you're taken through this journey in Seventh Son through Alvin's perspective, and then you're taken through this journey in Red Prophet through Lalawasiki's perspective.
Yeah, so far right now we've described the beginning of the first book and the second book, and now we're coming to where they conjoin. And the Shining Man is Lalawasiki to Alvin, but he sees him as the Shining Man.
Yeah.
And Lalawasiki shows him the vision from the cockroach's point of view to kind of teach him basically kind of it's your Spider-Man
there's this
moment.
Connection between them. Yeah. And he this is another part of the soft magic where they don't really know exactly what they're supposed to be doing, but there's these nudges to them where some fate is pushing them to share these things with each other.
Yeah.
And as they're experiencing this spiritual growth moment.
Yeah, and Lalawasiki's kind of prompted to cut his palm, to show Alvin these visions. It for some reason triggers these visions for Alvin. And Alvin, comes to the realization he did something absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, it's like that Spider-Man moment. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Well, guess what, son? You used it irresponsibly.
Yeah.
And you need to smarten up.
Yeah, and Alvin, he thinks that he's a murderer for killing these cockroaches, and they're just cockroaches, but he felt it so strong that, he had that that feeling that he was an actual murderer, and he vowed like right then and there that he was only going to use this power for good and
never himself.
Never for
which
himself.
Is a huge defining moment in his character throughout at least these two books. I don't know if he ever breaks it in the other books, which, it would make sense if he did, because, that's a great quandary. But that's another rabbit hole we can go down some other time.
Yeah.
But, the fact that he holds to that promise as a young boy for like years, I thought, like, I find so great, because I love how Orson Scott Card gave the protagonist a lot of powers, great powers that could probably fix a lot of things, but what gets him into trouble is the fact he doesn't use it for himself.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, because we were talking about like how perfect characters, they're boring. Well, he's not perfect, obviously, but with someone who is, the chosen one, the hero who has all the great powers to defeat the big bad, he can still get hurt. He can still get in trouble because he bound himself with his own limitation, which I found very compelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and honestly, like through the series, Alvin is not my favorite character because he is.
Oh, even with these two books, he's not my favorite either.
Yeah. And I think it's tough because, like, he is so noble and good, and like he is the hero, and he does have so much power. It's definitely a hard line.
Well, yeah, isn't that, I guess, a small tangent? Isn't that interesting that usually, I don't know if it's the same with you guys, but usually the main character doesn't end up being your favorite?
Yeah.
And, like, I think that's another reason I have such a hard time with my writing, because my main character is my baby in each of my projects, where I'm like, I have to make them the most relatable, the most likable, the one having the most compelling arc. But if you think about it, Frodo, I loved his, like, in the book, he's noble, he's a very relatable protagonist, but he's standing next to Samwise Gamgee. He's got Gandalf there half the time. You got Aragorn in the mix and Gimli. Like, son, you are just being outshined. And, Harry,
not to
he's
like
getting outshined by Hermione and
like
Hagrid all the time.
Feats, like the hero does, but like, you're right. Like in terms of relatability, like the hero is almost serving a role to like accomplish something, while like side characters tend to be almost the relatable, like you yourself in the story.
Yeah, or they're the slice of life that just build the world. Like all the time reading Harry Potter, I'm like, I want to hang out with Fred and George. I want to see what they're doing. I don't care about stopping Voldemort. I want to follow around Fred and George.
And
that was a small tangent. Let's keep talking about said son.
Oh man, like I could go on about how my character and Alvin are very similar, but so Alvin, he realizes this, he finds his purpose, and he also, wants to heal Lalawasaki, help his eye,
kind of return the favor.
But
because after this revelation, it almost a role switch where Alvin becomes the shining one to Lalawasaki.
Yeah, his
rather
dream
than
beast.
like Lalawasaki being the shining one to Alvin.
Yeah, and so Alvin tries to heal him, and he doesn't heal his eye, but he actually heals the black sound, makes it so he can hear the green sound again. But Alvin thinks he fails, which is kind of sad.
He's still got one eye, and Alvin just sees all the surface level stuff. As a kid would, whereas Lalawasaki is just I think it explains as like tears are coming out of his one eye.
Yeah.
And he's just so happy for what he did, and then he just leaves. Yeah.
Just super happy and grateful. And then you find out later in Red Prophet that his name now, Tenskwatawa, he tells Alvin that he did heal him. He's able to hear the green sound again. But such a
the whole
pivotal
point of finding the dream beast is becoming a new person, getting a new name.
Yeah.
Like all the spiritual
and finding your
elements.
Purpose. Yep.
Yeah, and I did think it was pretty cool how the sequel to this book doesn't just pick up where it left off. It like starts again in a different place with a different set of characters, and they just intersect and then they just keep going their way. Like, I thought that was so cool of Orson Scott Card.
Yeah, another reason he's such a big influence. Also, Ender's Game and Ender's Shadow.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
But
he's sticking to what he knows best, obviously. He's playing to his strengths.
Yeah. So, yeah, just, just such a cool part in the story. That's my favorite because they do come together like that. But, yeah, later on, you kind of just go along with Alvin's journey of where he's learning his purpose, and a new character comes in, one of my favorites, Tail Swapper.
Yeah, Tail Swapper is probably
it's
one of my
literally
favorites.
just exposition, but he is such a good character.
He's such sweet sounding exposition. And I don't know, I just really thought it was a cool concept. A guy who wants to be a prophet and is just trying to be a prophet, but is smart enough to know that he's not receiving a vision. And like he's a wanderer. He's kind of like, imagine Gandalf without all the wisdom and without all the magic and without all the influence, but
mentor character,
but still a good mentor. Yeah, I loved Tail Swapper. Tail Swapper is still probably my favorite. Tail Swapper and Measure are probably my two favorite characters.
I mean, his knack is obviously not just telling stories, but also being at the right place at the right time. I feel like he's got that knack.
Yeah, that does not become more apparent until like Red Prophet.
Yeah. So Tail Swapper comes in, and like he kind of takes the role of the old wise man, kind of leading the hero,
giving the hero that like world experience, looking with new eyes, having new knowledge.
Yeah,
but
helping to like put words to what Alvin is like feeling and thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's the one who coins the term Unmaker.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like Alvin's ability to make things.
Yeah. Like they're talking, and like Alvin has a vision of the Unmaker, and he makes like this little grass basket, and Tail Swapper's like, "Look, you just had a vision of the Unmaker, and you had to make something to combat that." Mm-hmm. And so it's like, he's helping him see what exactly he's doing and like what he needs to do. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. I also think that Tail Swapper is just Orson Scott Card. his character.
That's his insert. That's his avatar.
I didn't think about that, but it makes sense. Yeah.
I do love how you follow Tail Swapper into Vigor Township and how he first meets Armor of God Weaver. And he notices the hex put on the door, but Armor of God has no idea about it and just starts talking about like how evil it is and how it shouldn't happen, and like kicks out Tail Swapper. And then he goes to Vigor Church.
Yeah, with the Reverend Thrower.
And he's able to, like, I guess it's his knack to see what otherworldly forces have touched some things in other times, and he notices that the devil has touched the altar, and he starts mentioning that. And Reverend Thrower's just like, "Get out of my church," kind of thing, and he just like, "Well, if I don't get accepted in the third place, I'm getting out of here." And
Reverend Thrower's thinking that Alvin is the devil.
Yeah. Oh man, which I am such a big fan of I don't know what to call it. It's just the trope of, you understand the person's confusion, you see their point of view, and you see the other person's like reasoning and point of view, but you understand the two definitions that they're just defending against, but they never explain it to each other. I wish there was a way to explain that. It's one of my favorite things. I feel like it's such a masterful writing skill.
Yeah, no kidding.
To create those scenarios and make them feel so genuine and so natural.
Yeah.
And but I do love when he goes to the Miller household, how just like, this is where I got so envious of the community. He just, he kind of like wrestles Alvin Miller, the dad, and he's just, they're being casual men, just be like, get up, and that's you're pretty strong there. Like, you can stay as long as you want, and you don't have to work for it, but if you feel like you need to, you can. Like, people just willing to help people.
Yeah.
I love the humanity that frontier America, that the pioneers that they had, is just so prevalent in their stories.
Yeah. It's like, people have helped us out in the past, so we're going to help out people.
Yeah, they just pay it forward. I'm like, they just naturalize being a decent human being, which I feel is so
they
scarce.
give Tail Swapper the best room in the house, the best bed, they basically say, "Hey, you
there's
stay here
hexes
as
of
long as you want.
comfort.
You don't need to work." But then he's like, "No, I'm gonna work."
Yeah. He's not a moocher, which makes me like Tail Swapper even more.
Yeah.
he's not a freeloader.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, and so it takes, it continues on this journey where Alvin Miller Sr. is a miller, of course, and they don't have a millstone. And so they go on this journey to...
They've tried, though.
Yeah,
you find out
they've
they've
tried
tried
several
many times.
Yep.
multiple times.
The
and,
water.
Yeah, every time the water
Always water.
has caused an issue. And so this time they thought out a plan where water hopefully is just not a problem. Like even in the morning, Alvin Miller Sr. made everybody wait until all the frost was gone. And then Alvin Jr. was able to work on chipping away at that millstone. And,
Well, I want to add this in real quick. One of my favorite details that they mention is when Tail Swapper's walking through the Vigor town, he mentions how there's bridges, like extremely well-built bridges over even like small creeks like that he could hop over. And so it goes to show like how the superstition is so like, well, I guess in reality, like kind of the superstition, but it's a reality that the water is a danger.
Paranoia
That they're just so protective
Alvin Miller
to like even build, a massive bridge over such a small creek. And so, yeah, like there really is this like power that exists that they have a sense about them that they need to combat in some way. And so, yeah, exactly. He takes all the measures he can to avoid water on this project to finally get the mill.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I just love like, Alvin's cutting away at this millstone and Tail Swapper's like, oh, like he's the one cutting this millstone. And then like,
Alvin Jr., yeah.
And then his brother's like, yeah, he's got like a knack for
He's
that.
got a knack for
And then they have Alvin
He knows how to hit it just right.
Alvin tie all the knots. And they're like, yeah, he's got a knack for that too.
Well, I just think I thought it was so funny. Like, Tail Swapper even like tries to give it a whack and he's just like, oh, and it doesn't even leave a mark. And then I was like, oh, you just got to find the right place. Puts it the exact same way and just, and then he just
cuts
ends
a big
up,
old chunk.
cuts a big old chunk of stone. And then like, it even goes to the point where he's like, oh, the millstone's just off the side of the quarry now.
Like, there must have been a shiver
There
up the
must have been a
back
shiver back there because
it's not
it's
even
just free.
connected.
Like this kid just did like a Herculean task so easily. He's just casually just be like, "Oh wow, look at that! It just worked out perfectly here."
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole time Alvin is reasoning with himself. He's doing this for his family, for other people, so he can use his abilities as long as it's not for him.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's not for his sole benefit.
Yeah.
Which comes. Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it.
Which comes to the part where that promise he makes becomes so pivotal, and what made me really like Alvin as a protagonist, like as the lead protagonist, because obviously the water finds a way to make this millstone fall to try and kill Alvin, and what Tail Swapper says he saw was like the millstone began to split in two. Like some force began to split it to save Alvin, and Alvin felt like that was his power using it like for his sole benefit to save him, that he put it back together as it was falling.
Yeah, combated that power.
Combated it.
Like it was going to split and fall
Because he felt like he was
not hit him at
breaking
all.
that promise, and it crushed his leg. Which that's when I got on board with Alvin as a protagonist. Like he's willing to keep his promises so much that he's even willing to put himself in harm's way. That's such a noble thing in my mind.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't necessarily crush his leg.
Well, that's true.
And
It
this
falls
millstone
and rips off all the skin.
is so sharp that Tail Swapper runs his finger along the edge and cuts his finger. So you gotta imagine this super sharp, giant, like granite rock falling and skinning and peeling the skin off
Like
of
straight to
Alvin's
the bone.
leg all the way to the bone, and then a broomstick wedging in between his leg and snapping his leg. definitely does not hold back.
No, he doesn't.
Details.
It's visceral.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Hey, you just feel the pain the whole time as everything's going on.
yeah. So yeah, Tail Swapper.
Quite an intense scene.
Tail Swapper kind of realized what was going on just in time to pull Alvin enough out of the way to where the millstone wasn't going to crush him completely. But yeah, it got his leg for sure.
Well, Tail Swapper would have been able to pull him out, but a small depression in the soil, which had like some water in it, had given way, which caused him to slip. And so he wasn't able to pull Alvin out of the way entirely, which led to the whole his leg getting scraped. So it was like
I thought
at every little turn,
the depression was how the millstone fell.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Tail Swapper was just lost track of Alvin
there
for
was
a
something
second.
with.
Yeah, there was something with water.
you're right,
I believe
yeah.
it was what made the millstone fall because it was
Yeah,
you know, Alvin Miller Sr.'s
Was it one of the
paranoia.
horses, or
Well,
if
yeah.
they were lowering it in or something?
Yeah, so they're bringing in the millstone, and the horses start getting skittish. And so Alvin Sr. sends over Calm, and Tail Swapper and Alvin Jr. were on the horses. But Alvin Jr. went to go sweep the area so they could lay the stone down.
Clear the
And then
Yeah.
the ground gives way where the water,
That's right.
was working its way, and that's how it tips. And Tail Swapper kind of sees this, but he just doesn't get there quite in time.
Yeah, that's right.
But he's able to see the whole stone and all that. But yeah, very cool. And then you come to find out later that Peggy is the one that's channeling Alvin's power through the birth call that she had.
Yeah,
where she's able to grind
rubs
up
off
some
a
of it.
piece to cause the power to activate.
Yeah, so she's the reason why when they were building the church, the ridge beam that was going to fall on Alvin split perfectly over his head, and it's why the millstone was breaking as well. But
yeah, everyone comments on how Alvin has grown up his whole life without getting a scratch on him, and they're like, "How does a little boy not have a scratch on him from doing all kinds of things?" And yet he was so accident prone, and yet he was always saved from these things that were always happening to him.
Exactly. Yep.
and then after all this, obviously Alvin's out of commission with his leg, and this is part where I really got to hand it to Tail Swapper, talking into Alvin to be like, okay, I know you promised not to use your power to help only yourself, but you need to be able to be alive to fight the Unmaker, to undo what the Unmaker wants to be done. So you helping yourself is going to end up helping so many. I liked how Tail Swapper was able to help him think of a new way to look at it. And
yeah, he's like, you make a vow to me that you do this, and if you want to keep your vow to me, then you have to be able to change how you keep your other vow.
Yeah.
It's one of my
logicking to Alvin how he can work around.
It's one of my favorite quotes in the whole series, where Alvin's like, "You're twisting it, twisting the words to make it sound better." He's like, "I'm straightening it." So, yeah, he's able to get Alvin to see that, maybe he needs to use his powers to help himself so he can help other people. If he doesn't save himself and he dies, then he can't help anybody. Right. So he ultimately convinces them, you need to heal yourself, and Alvin starts learning how to heal himself. He describes it as taking his doodle bug, and I just kind of imagine it as I don't know.
Like a little probe.
Yeah, like a probe, exactly.
Just going in.
And he's going in his body.
That's how I imagined it.
The Aragon books, how Christopher Paolini talks about how he can
extend his consciousness.
Mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of how
I imagine
your
it
mind
as well.
goes into it, and you can see all the little intricate workings of something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's able to heal it up, but there's a dark or black spot on his bone that's growing that he's not able to heal
into it to figure out. Yeah, it's like he says it's too confusing. There's too much going on.
Yeah, it's like
for him to discern
probably
how to fix it.
It's probably like a infection or like a staph infection of some sort. That water somehow got into his leg, and Unmaker's using it to kill him.
Unmake his leg and unmake his very being.
And then that leads to another one of my favorite parts is when he's, figures out that he has to have surgery. And so, this is where Reverend Thrower comes in.
Yeah, let's talk about Reverend Thrower for a bit, because I feel like this is a great time to talk about him.
Yeah.
So we first learn he's a very scholarly guy. He's a man of God and a man of science, which sounds weird in today's terminology, because most of the time people use science to.
Well, his justification was that revelation is past, and so the Lord has given us science to figure things out now. We no longer have miracles. We no longer have revelation.
Yes, and that's why he says, like, all this hex work, all this doodle bugging, all this dowsing that they do is just made up. It's not real, which upsets a lot of the people, because, like, well, we know it's real.
I like his contrast to Armor of God, because Armor of God is very religious, but he's like, no, it's real, but it's of the devil. And so, like, they have this little discussion where Reverend Thrower's like, it's not real, it's fake, it's made up, and Armor of God's like, no, like, you have to admit it's real, or nobody's going to listen to you.
Yep.
It is real, but it's of the devil.
Yeah.
But, like, and at the same time, when they're building this church for Reverend Thrower, he's also getting visits from what he calls the visitor, which he assumes to be an angel, and like, it talks to him like he is a divine messenger, like, you have to do this, you have to do that, basically giving him a time limit to get rid of Alvin, or to have him, I guess, join the congregation, which I can understand from Reverend Thrower's point of view. He sees this as just, oh yes, it's important that I save this one soul, because every soul is precious in the sight of God. But a lot of the way Reverend Thrower acts and how he does, it seems like that archetypal, condemning, judgmental Christian that most people hate nowadays, where I'm like, okay, I get why people would hate Christians if this is the kind of person they're encountering every time they try to get interested in God.
Yeah.
It's basically like, he's that mean Christian who's farther than God than the kind atheist kind of deal.
Yeah.
But he's getting visits.
He sets himself up as a literal, like, he, like, so close to even Christ. Like, he kind of raises himself
it's
up.
that,
like, I'm so special to have been visited by this visitor. I must be such a wonderful servant to the Lord, kind of thing.
And he's getting visits from this visitor, and he's just so convinced that he is just on the right path and everything. And, like, he gets the altar made by Alvin Sr. and Alvin Jr. And he's just so happy because he sees it as like they're coming around to him, and that he's, like, winning. But then the visitor tells him, like, nah, even the devil can form the cross, like, don't be so sure of yourself. And then Tail Swapper comes in and says the devil's hand has been on that, and now you see Reverend Thrower be like,
the visitor puts his hand on the altar and claims it as his own in one of Reverend Thrower's visions with the visitor. And so that's an important
Reverend
thing
Thrower's
to note. Thinking it's, this visitor is, blessed this altar to be of the Lord, and then Tail Swapper literally comes in and is like, oh, hey, the devil touched that. Like, contradicts everything that Reverend Thrower has ever, like, believed. And he's like, get out of my church.
So Reverend Thrower is thinking that Alvin Miller and Alvin Jr. are the devil, whereas Tail Swapper's referencing the visitor. And then when the leg injury happens, that's when the visitor comes to him and says, like, he basically gives him the choice of, this is your chance. Say you have to perform a surgery, a delicate surgery, and you have to use a knife, and it slips in the wrong place. And, like, this is where you start to see that the visitor may not be as angelic as Reverend Thrower believes, because that's when he, like, yells at Reverend Thrower, and, like, because Reverend Thrower's like, you said I had until the boy was 14 to save him and take care of this. He's like only 10, and that's when he, like, yells. He's like, I said I have till he's 14, not you.
Yeah.
And
Like,
it's
he
just
basically tells him, you need to go kill this kid.
Yeah.
And he references, I think, is it David?
he references Saul
Isaac
killing all the Amalekites.
No, Samuel. So Samuel, King. Oh gosh, which
King
was it?
Saul.
Like,
He commanded King Saul to kill all the Amalekites, and he was supposed to kill every
but he
woman
failed
and
to
children.
kill
He
the
failed.
king of the Amalekites, and then Samuel goes in and basically chops up the body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so the visitor's like, "What does the scriptures say?"
Yeah.
It's like he chopped Agag into pieces.
This poor man is just cowering in fear. Like, you start to see that he's just being used, and you do have some sympathy for him.
Yeah, like really, does Thrower, is he just, ignorant and like
Being manipulated.
Yeah, being manipulated. Is he really that evil? Which I don't think he quite is, but on the level of like White Murderer Harrison, like he's like pure evil. He's like his motivation.
Murderer
is
Harrison doesn't
personal
need visions
gain
from the devil to commit the
at least
atrocities he does.
Thrower is still like as wrong as he is, he's still trying to bring people to.
Well, yeah, you understand his worldview, but Orson Scott Card never like tells you to be sympathetic for him. Like you're allowed to, but he's not trying so hard to get you to.
Yeah.
Which, with a villain, like not every villain needs to be sympathetic, which I feel is so overdone these days. So I'm very glad to be seeing like, oh, it's understandable motive. I understand his worldview. I'm not required to forgive him. This is great.
Exactly. But yeah, the visitor convinces Thrower that he needs to go and kill Alvin. And so Alvin, comes up with this plan that he needs surgery on his leg, but Alvin Miller Sr. can't do it because you find out that he gets these urges to kill Alvin, which, it's this unseen power of the Unmaker that's manipulated
one of the
Alvin
most
Sr.
powerful discussions between Alvin Sr. and Tail Swappers when they're talking while they're camping to get the millstone, and just that section, I teared up so hard at that section. Just the tragedy of a father who adores his son, but is also so just has these overwhelming urges to also, for some reason, kill his son that he just doesn't understand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he he knows he can't do the surgery because he might just have an urge in the middle of it.
Does not trust
so
himself.
He refuses. Measure's there, his mom's there, but nobody else. And so Armor of God and Thrower show up. And
this is a really good part.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts. And this is what I say about Orson Scott Card and his ability to so like seamlessly and effortlessly like write in the dialogue of like the frontier, and that it seems like you're just in old frontier land, like the way he writes it. I can't remember exactly, but Armor of God pisses off because he's like, we're casting out devils.
Yeah, we gotta cast out the devils out of this home.
And then Alvin Miller Sr. picks up Armor of God and he's like, somebody better open this door. There's going to be a big old hole in it. And Calvin is just...
He's like, I'm just casting out devils, Armor of God.
Yeah, he's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm casting out devils.
And then he says, I only did what... Oh, man, what did he say? Only did what they were needing said to be done or something like that. Just the way he wrote it is just so good. But
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thrower convinces them that he can do the surgery, but there's a hex on the room of protection, which is so good. And it's almost like in my head, I hear that, like when they keep putting like the knife down and like going in the room. They're like, where's the knife? Oh, I'll go get it. And then they forget. Like, what are you doing? Why don't you grab the knife?
Well,
when they bring it in,
out that it was Peggy using Alvin's ability to basically distract everyone and cause all the the manipulation because she knew Reverend Thrower was going to come in and do what he was.
It's such a funny course of events because like they keep putting the knife down, and then like when Callie's like, "Oh, I'll go grab the knife," Reverend Thrower just walks out. He's like out by the mantelpiece, looking at their pictures, and they're like, "Callie, what do you do with that knife?" He's like, "I just brought it in, and the Reverend just walked out." And then they just keep going back and forth, and yeah, that's where you get that music going, just and Reverend Thrower. I love Reverend Thrower's like inner monologue because he as soon as they say, "Yeah, you do the surgery," he's like, "I have deceived the great deceiver. I alone have deceived the devil himself, and I will triumph and slay him." And then he's walking away from the house. And he's like, I didn't accomplish anything. I've been deceived. Like it's so satisfying.
But yeah. And this is where Measure comes in, being such a good brother. He's like the ideal brother, the older brother that you want, just always there to listen with good advice.
Heck, even if it's not good advice, you like even when he's like, "I don't know everything, Alvin."
Yeah, exactly.
I just love how humble he is, but he's just willing to listen and give his heart out to his younger brother.
Yep, he's the one that ends up doing the surgery. And they're able to cut the bad part of the bone away, and Alvin's able to heal himself up and save his leg. And so, and this is kind of something that we wanted to talk about too, is like Orson Scott Card is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or a Mormon, as a lot of people call us. But if you didn't know, we're also part.
We are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah. So Orson Scott Card actually made a lot of parallels with a lot of our church history, and Joseph Smith. When Joseph Smith was a kid, he had to have a surgery on his leg, very similar to this, where no anesthesia or anything. They had to cut open his leg, saw off a chunk of his bone, sew him back up, and he healed up from it.
Which is a true event that happened in Joseph Smith's life. Like the way he bases...
Joseph refused to drink any alcohol. Yep. Alvin also refused to drink any alcohol.
Yeah, the way he bases Alvin Miller's young life on Joseph Smith's young life. Like it never feels preachy. Like he's trying to tell you, yeah, you should believe in the prophet Joseph Smith, as like a lot of us members of the church try to do all the time. But at surface level stuff, you can at least accept that, Joseph Smith was a very interesting historical figure that had a very interesting life. And fun fact, where that leg surgery happened, where I served my mission, West Lebanon, New Hampshire, is supposedly where that surgery happened. And there's a KFC supposedly built where that house was. And I have eaten at that KFC on my mission.
Chicken legs.
And naturally,
did you eat a leg?
Yes, I got a chicken leg.
Yeah.
Never felt closer to the prophet Joseph Smith than I did at that moment.
Yeah.
Eating chicken.
Orson Scott Card is kind of notorious at dropping kind of little Mormon or LDS things in his books, like Ender's Game. Ender's mom is a member.
Mormon. Yeah.
But
it never makes or breaks. Like you don't have to understand that in order to enjoy the story, which is really like good on him for like not being preachy on that. I really support Orson Scott Card for being able to keep his worldview away from telling a good story.
Yeah. But a lot of like our theology is he does, bleed a lot of that into this story, with the visitor that visits Thrower. I think Thrower tries to like touch him, and then the visitor.
He kneels, like hold his hand, and then the visitor, he doesn't feel anything.
Well, doesn't he go like, "Don't touch me"? I feel like it's like that king who just has a groveling servant, just like, "Get off me."
yeah, but
and there's parallels between like how Vigor and and Measure were to Alvin as Joseph Smith's elder brother Alvin was to Joseph, and even Alvin dying at such a young age kind of paralleled to Vigor as well.
Yeah. Joseph Smith's older brother, Alvin Smith, is like Vigor to Alvin in this story.
Yeah, if that doesn't make you confused, bear with us, please.
Yeah, anyways, we just kind of want to mention that fun fact about these stories. But yeah, that kind of concludes, Seventh Son. Alvin finds his purpose. He learns to heal, and then he's kind of growing his knack, figuring things out that way. And then we kind of talked a little bit about Red Prophet, but kind of to continue on with the story, after Lalawaski comes Tenskwatawa, Alvin they decide, Alvin Miller Sr. decides to, apprentice him out to a smith, and Measure and him, he has Measure go and take him.
Greg, can I interject real quick?
Yeah.
So I want to just add a little, cover some of the story. So you have Lalawaski and Tecumseh were brothers, and Tecumseh was seeking to kind of build like a Native American force to combat the white man, and basically to kind of try and you first try to come to agreements with like William Henry Harrison, but he realized the white man just lies, and so in his rage, he goes. This is when Lalawaski spills the cake. Tecumseh suddenly has like a connection to the land, where he essentially becomes like the voice for the land's rage against the white man, because the white man is coming in and destroying the land, basically killing the voice, or the voice of the land. And so Tecumseh then becomes the spiritual voice for the rage of the land. And Lalawaski, when he becomes Tenskwatawa from the experience with Alvin, he becomes the spiritual voice of the land, for the people in a way. And so you have these two brothers who are both voices for the land, but for almost different purposes, where Tecumseh is the voice for the rage, while Tenskwatawa is the voice kind of for a different purpose, to essentially to preserve the land in a peaceful way, that he like sees through these visions that he's finally able to obtain now that the black noise is gone. And that leads to this when Alvin is leaving, you hear about this Prophetville, where Tenskwatawa is basically gathering followers who are listening to his sermons as the Red
Prophet's
Prophet.
Town.
And you have Tecumseh, who is, and which again is all these events are related to actual historical events. There was a Prophet's Town. Tenskwatawa or Lalawaski did come Tenskwatawa, and then the only difference was Tecumseh and Tenskwatawa were kind of doing the same thing in actual history, where they were actually forming an army rather than in the book, Tenskwatawa is forming an actual peaceful group of natives, and Tecumseh is still trying to form an army, and still using his voice of the land to gather people, gather followers.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yep. And White Murder Harrison's trying to, cause a plan to rally kind of the white folk to basically kill off all the reds.
He wants to eliminate all the reds.
He wants to get rid of. So he comes up with this plan to have some, tribes or Native Americans to kidnap some white boys and torture them to death. Mm-hmm. And it just so happens to be Alvin and Measure when they're, journeying to go to the blacksmith. And, that's another awesome part is when they're taken by the Reds, and they start,
and these were Reds that are kind of different than the more noble majestic
like
reds,
Tecumseh's
Alcatraz,
and
Tenskwatawas.
Tenskwatawas.
These are reds that have like integrated more into the white man society. They're carrying firearms.
Yeah.
They're carrying steel blades.
They bought them with whiskey.
Kind of lost their connection to the land a little bit.
Yeah. And so they try and torture Alvin and Measure, and Alvin's, manipulating everything so they don't get hurt.
Yeah.
Like he dulls up a knife.
Dulls up the knife.
The knife right around the hand.
Or the hatchet.
Yeah.
And they're all like freaking out, like, what the heck?
But ultimately, Tecumseh shows up because Tenskwatawa sent him to rescue Alvin and Measure. He wants to bring Alvin to him so he can, they can have this vision together. They end up at this lake. I think it's Lake Michigan.
Yeah, wasn't it one of the Great Lakes?
Yeah, I think Michigan.
Is it Lake Michigan?
But anyways, there's this vortex that comes down, and Tenskwatawa's discovered that his blood will like crystallize water, and so he's able to, as this vortex comes down and makes a water spout, he takes him and Alvin into the vortex and crystallizes it, and it causes it so they're both able to see these visions, of the future and what they're supposed to do. Just really kind of mystical, exciting.
That was probably the most the fantastical high point. In this book, at least, where I was like, okay, we're leaning fully into the fantasy now.
Yeah.
And
How does this blood work? Why is it doing this stuff to the water? Why visions? All this stuff. Definitely high, soft fantasy magic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very cool. And
the premise is Tenskwatawa is seeing a vision on how he can save at least a portion of the land from the white man killing it off. Because as the white man's expanding further west, more of the land, the voice of the land is dying, and he's able to see a vision on how to preserve it. And so he keeps going back to this vortex to witness this vision to make sure it's still in process. And he sees this how to way to preserve it, but he's not telling anyone. He just knows like something needs to happen. This sequence of events for at least a portion of the land, which he wants to basically dedicate the entire western side of the Mississippi of America to the natives to keep the land alive, is kind of his plan. And again, connection to actual history, he sees that if his plan doesn't come to fruition, then the natives will be trapped on small desert portions of land that have no life to them, which basically kind of it does end up happening, right, with the Trail of Tears and reservations and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and unfortunately, we're kind of running out of time. We're not going to be able to do this whole book justice for sure.
Yeah, this is our first time doing 2 books in one episode.
I think we went a little long on our top 5.
We definitely took more than we could chew. But we wanted to give you a twofer for Thanksgiving season. Yeah. A little something more to be thankful for.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about the climax of this book with the massacre.
Yeah. Tippecanoe.
Yeah, Tippecanoe.
But yeah. And this is another reason why Measure is one of my favorite characters. Just his character arc, where and another real character in history, Mike Fink. Mike Fink is kind of bought up by Harrison, and Measure gets captured. Yeah. He gets released and captured by Harrison.
He's trying to go back to warn his family and say, "Hey, we're safe. Alvin's fine."
Yeah, there's no reason
to go kill any Reds.
To war. Mm-hmm. But he gets captured, and Harrison tells Mike Fink, break every bone in his body.
Yeah, Measure just got put through the ringer. I was feeling so bad for Measure.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and literally Mike Fink,
when he snaps his neck,
goes and breaks every bone in Measure's body. And up to the point where the last bone is his neck. And then this whole process, Alvin is off with the Tecumseh, and they end up meeting up with Tailswapper on Eight Face Mound. And
Which this is where Tailswapper is showing
That's a
he's
whole
just in
nother
the right
tangent.
place at the right time. Eight Face Mountain was another one of those just wow, we're going full into the magical and mystical and just showing kind of how cool the Native American lore can be.
Oh yeah.
Well, just the lore of the landscape in general. Like, this is a sacred place that's even beyond the Native Americans. It's always been there, even before the tribes got there, and it's always been like something significant to whatever groups in the area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Alvin's able to make it on top of this mound, and it gives him the ability to kind of transport his mind to where Measure is, and so he's able to heal Measure and
talk to him too.
Yeah, the whole process of trying to heal Measure is so brutal because Measure has to push his bones back into position.
He heals him just enough where Measure can start helping Alvin heal him by
and doesn't Measure say that? I was like, why can't you do it? If you're here, why can't you do it? He's like, because I'm not here.
You're
Measure.
big for your age.
Yeah, I'm not there, Measure. I can't do it.
Oh, yeah, poor Measure, man.
Yeah, he had the worst of it in this book.
But yeah, Measure's able to get out, but by this time, the massacre has already started to happen. You hear this musket fire, and Measure gets there, but thousands
cannons and just basically firing cannons and grape shot onto innocent.
It is a bloodbath.
Total massacre.
Yeah, really. Oh yeah, very tragic. Real point in history for sure. But I think Orson Scott Card does really good at capturing the tragedy of this event, and the overall forgiving spirit of the Native Americans that Tenskwatawa has. He puts this curse on the people of that caused this massacre, that they have to tell this story or their blood will seep from their hands. And White Murder Harrison gets a full-on curse where he has to find somebody new to tell every day, or he has blood on his hands.
Yeah,
he'll feel the pain of the people that were murdered.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really cool, really cool punishment and curse. Just basically, just imagine you made a really huge mistake, and in order to not be guilted by it daily, you had to recount it in every detail fully to every person you met, just to realize what you did wrong. And so oh my gosh, I thought I was so crazy. Yeah, oh man, the justice of it was wild.
Really, through the tragedy, Tenskwatawa just makes it, this beautiful message.
Well, this was his plan the whole time of how to preserve the land. The massacre needed to happen. He basically needed to trap the white man on the east side of the Mississippi, and because when he takes the natives that died seep into the ground, they run into the river, and it goes into the Mississippi, and it forms this fog bank, this impenetrable fog bank that then him and his people basically cross to basically preserve the western side of the country.
Yeah, which you find out later.
Okay.
In the stories. But yeah, and then, Tecumseh's plan of trying to take it by force doesn't come. Alvin's with him the whole time. He goes with the French. The French betray the Native Americans and they lose.
Napoleon's in there somewhere. Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yeah, Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yeah, very cool. Napoleon has the power to make people love him without earning that love.
Yeah, he's a max charisma stat.
Subserviently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
there really is so much
Tecumseh's
more.
able to rally enough natives now to fight against the white man because of this massacre. He's able basically to go to each tribe, rally them up to fight. Goes with the French to join the French against the fight against the English, but the French, obviously, they're like, sorry, no muskets for you. You have to fight with bow and arrows, which that leads to a total loss because now the natives aren't on equal ground fighting against the white man, and it's a total loss for Tecumseh. But the thing, this was one of my favorite moments. Like, this is where like my imagination just sparked when Tecumseh's fighting. They talk about how he was like standing, taking all these bullets and all these shots, and he just could not be knocked down. And it was because Alvin was off just hiding, basically healing him up as he's being shot up and like fighting against the white or Old Hickory. What's his name?
Andrew Jackson.
Andrew Jackson's.
Yeah, but it's basically Orson Scott Card making a comic book scene sound not cheesy, because that just sounds like Wolverine walking through a battlefield and healing right on the spot. But it's like he doesn't make that sound cheesy or anything like a colorful comic book does.
Yeah. And it really is a cool part because, to the point where they're both exhausted. Like, Alvin is completely exhausted. Tecumseh makes it back to him and falls on him, and they both pass out. But yeah, really cool part for sure.
Yeah. Tecumseh basically survives. He goes to the fog wall to like join his brother on the other side of the Mississippi. And that's kind of where Alvin parts with him to then eventually basically head home.
Yeah. Looks like we lost video and audio. We really bit off more than we could chew with this one. But, that's the growing pains of learning a new trade. But anyways, what we finished off with was just our ratings of the book. We all rated it pretty high. Jeff rated it in the 9s. I rated it in the 9s, and Derek was in the 8s. But we also discussed what next books we were going to talk about. And Jeff decided on the Chronicles of Narnia. We're going to do just Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. We learned our lesson. Probably not going to try and cover 2 books in one podcast. But yeah, it's going to be for December, so it's a good Christmas book, that's for sure. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Sorry about all the hiccups. We're figuring this out. But yeah, next time we'll get this honed in. But that's it for now. This has been Big Rascals. Keep reading, keep writing, and stay rascally, my friends. Catch you later.